Okay, so I'm going to start with the star. The back page is bumper deal for FAI. The bumper is a pun because it turns out that Nissan are replacing Ford as the FAI sponsor at the start of September. It's a deal allegedly worth up to $500,000 a year. And it's going to be announced next week in a timely boost for a body that's been embroiled in crisis for almost 6 months. The other story there is Gerlach Nan's column, which I haven't had the chance to read yet, but I'm really looking forward to. He says that the tribe job could be a poisoned chalice, and he would know. He drank from that poisoned chalice, of course, and it didn't quite work out for Loughnane. And then Aidan O'Mahony says there was no Kerry witch hunt against All-Ireland final ref David Goff. He's also had a pop against Sean Cavanagh. We'll get to that in a minute. And Twitter apparently will act on abuse of Pogba. So Twitter will hold meetings with Manchester United next week after Paul Pogba's racial abuse on the social media platform. And they say they're going to monitor the accounts of 50 black English footballers over the course, or footballers playing in the Premier League over the course of the season, to try and get a handle on the racist abuse that they're suffering. And on the front page of the Daily Star this morning, McGregor exclusive, Connor's just a bully with money. The Star say that they've tracked down the man who was at the centre of the video that went viral after TMZ had it, after he refused to drink some of McGregor's whiskey in the Marble Arch bar in April.
Back page of the Mirror this morning is I Want to Be a Big Boy. This is Jonathan Afolabi. He was unveiled as a Celtic player yesterday. The Irish under-19 captain international, of course, was a free agent after being released from Southampton. So he's been signed up and he's targeting a spot in Celtic's first team after joining on that free transfer. Ronnie says £80 million is too much to spend on any defender. This is Cristiano Ronaldo, reckoning that Manchester United were wrong, basically, to pay 80 million quid for Harry Maguire. Juventus superstar claims he will be worth 300 million quid in the current transfer market, even though he is now 34 years old. Irish star Glenn, the wheel deal, says Hearts. Glenn Whelan could make his debut for Hearts against Celtic on Sunday, basically.
You okay, hon?
Yeah, I just a bit of a moment there.
Getting up early today, was it? Or like normal time, was that?
Actually feeling so refreshed after that lie-in yesterday, to be quite honest with you. Got too much energy almost. Blueprint for the drive to stop 5. That's Aidan O'Mahony as well. This is my theory on what's going to happen in the media over the next couple of weeks, or the next week, 10 days. We're going to see a lot of anti-Yerring. So the traditional art of Yerring involves deeply believing that your team will win the game, but saying outwardly that they will not win the game. But the antithesis of that is not believing that you are going to not win this game, but saying outwardly that you can win this game.
We've definitely got a chance.
So that is what I think. I think privately, a lot of people who have very good connections with the camp will be fearing it big time next week. You're
saying that the art of Yara is basically reverse psychology. That's all there is to it.
No, reverse psychology is basically the art of Yerring.
Okay, here's the Examiner this morning. Fed up, McIlroy questions radical FedEx Cup format. So he says that it shouldn't just be all about the money, it should be about the prestige of winning a title. It's hard for it not to be about the money when it's, 16, 15, 14 million, whatever double-digit number of millions it is for winning this golf tournament. It's about the money. Like, no one cares about the trophy or the title. I mean, the title itself is a fairly new title, right?
Yeah.
So, like, it's about the money.
The prestige is there because of the money.
I always thought that one of the best parts about golf was that, like, the money list was the thing that everybody wanted to win. It was naked in its out there, and they're all like the most right-wing capitalists you're ever going to meet in your life. Like the American golfers I'm talking about specifically. And all they cared about was the money. They got into golf because you could make loads and loads of money, and on your days off, people will pay you extra money to play golf with them. It's mad. So, like, I'm not sure about this, Rory.
The FedEx Cup is one big, massive, red, wandering, make America great again hat. That's what the FedEx Cup is. If you could put that into golf tournament form, that's exactly what it is. And some people think that's beautiful.
The golfers, they're all like, yeah, I'd say they're looking at him in the locker room going, what? Did you not get the memo? What are you doing, Rory? If there's ever any decrease in prize money, we're putting it on you, Rory, right? Because there's no way they're showing up this week, for the prestige of winning the FedEx if there wasn't the 700 million on offer or whatever it is.
A tab of the morning to you in the back of the Sun. David De Gea stopper still keeping Manchester United waiting. So David De Gea could keep Manchester United sweating until January. The Red Devils keeper has yet to put pen to paper despite agreeing a $350k a week deal. In principle, the 28-year-old's new 6-year contract is in place, but has not yet been rubber stamped. Law-abiding is the headline here by Robert Grieve. Neil Lennon has backed under siege Celtic chief Peter Lawwell and urged fans to lay off him. Joe off to NYC. Meanwhile, Joe Ward visited Knock at the weekend. Now he's off to boxing's Mecca in Madison Square Garden for his pro debut. And Aidan not afraid to Cavanagh. Aidan O'Mahony has doubled down on his criticism of Sean Cavanagh. He says this guy amazes me with his analysis after that, and he's gone on to say a little bit more about Sean Cavanagh. He was speaking at a media event yesterday. Just to give you the full quote with what he said. I can remember he made a comment about the Kerry crowd being patronising of Tyrone and clapping them onto the bus after the 2012 qualifier in Killarney. I remember that day. All that was in the minds of the Kerry crowd was Mickey Hart. He'd gone through so much grief at that time that there was so much respect for him. Then his analysis then of Tyrone Kerry game and going on about Mickey Hart, considering he's a guy that Mickey Hart probably made, and I've no problem saying that. Same with me and Jack O'Connor and Paddy O'Shea, who brought me in first. You look back at those guys and I'd never cut the legs off them because they made me who I am. I have massive respect for Mickey Hart, and for a player to cut the legs off him so easily, I think it was a bit of a cheap shot.
Aidan O'Mahony talking for Paddy Power yesterday. I disagree with him. I have to say that I think that Sean Cavanagh is very well placed to criticise Mickey Hart if he wants to at this stage of his career, having played underneath him. And the notion that Mickey made him like he was a teenager winning his first All-Ireland. He was obviously a superstar talent from the very get-go, and the last decade of his career he carried the team on his shoulders. And there's obviously a gap in the relationship between Mickey Hart and Sean Cavanagh, and Sean Cavanagh's fairly open about that. I think that's fair enough, no?
I think it's a case-by-case basis for sure. If Sean Cavanagh feels that he shouldn't cut the legs off Mickey Hart because he made me, then fair enough. I think that's a completely acceptable thing to do. But similarly, if he feels to himself, nah, I don't owe this guy anything, really. It was the players who made that team, and they were a great bunch of players. I don't owe this guy a single jot for what I've earned in my career, and I am going to say what I like about him, then I think fair enough as well.
The other thing is that even if he feels he owes him something, his job now as an analyst is to tell the truth.
Yeah, it's true.
Like, he gets paid to write his column in the Star, he gets paid to appear in the Sunday Game, and it's not to go, Mickey's a great lad, he can stay as long as he wants. It's like, do I think Mickey Hart is the best person to bring Tyrone forward? And it's clear at the moment that he doesn't think that. The Herald here, double page spread on Celtic. Celtic call for Cam. I never thought the Neil Lennon full-time return was going to work out for Celtic, and it's not going very well at the minute. But anyway, Poole won't budge over Kent's situation, and Afolabi eyes Hoops impact. So just a bunch of different stories there. Conor McKeown has an interesting piece with Ray Boyne, the statistician. Dataman Ray ticks all boxes in numbers game. The headline is, the sub-headline is, Boyne hasn't a clue about hurling or football, which helped in analysis. So
he's part of the tip backroom team.
Yeah.
You got a shout out on the steps of the Hogan stand on Sunday.
He'd obviously been with the Dubs at various stages in the past as well. Worked with Pat Gilroy. I think he did work with, he worked with Jim Gavin all the way up to 2016. So, yeah, it's purely about the stats and numbers. Maybe that's what you want, the cold, hard data. So it's not somebody going, geez, I really like that inside forward. He's just not doing it for us at the moment. He's coming over and going 0 possessions and whatever. That's what you want.
The Irish Daily Mail leads with that Aidan O'Mahony headline as well. A cheap shot, they say. Hart deserves greater loyalty, says O'Mahony. And Premier League denies City's plea for medals. So the Premier League have turned down a request from Manchester City for extra winners' medals. So they were given 40 medals, one for the manager and for the rest of the players who played more than 5 matches during last year's Premier League campaign. So they believe the amount already handed over was obviously sufficient, but Guardiola has attacked the Premier League's 5-match rule last May after his side had cruised at the title. City's manager claimed it was ridiculous that some of the club's young players did not receive a medal. They're champions. They worked from day one to the last thing in the locker room and training. So give them their medal is what Pep is saying.
Man City could pay for them, maybe, could buy them some, could get replicas made.
Don't think they've got any spare change. Financial fair play laws, does that go into actually purchasing metal?
The Irish Independent, the back page, Dermot Crowe has a story. Hogan and Kilkenny set to appeal final red card. So he's got some details here saying that they've discussed it. It hasn't officially gone forward yet. The Kilkenny County Board is believed to be lining up an appeal against Richie Hogan's red card in last Sunday's All-Ireland hurling final. it says here that it's believed that Kilkenny await the contents of the referee's report to see what the player is cited for, which was interesting. Just that kind of conversation that James Owens and Richie Hogan had where James Owens said to Richie Hogan, according to Richie, that you were late, and then he made the sign for the high tackle as well. So he was kind of giving himself a few options there, both late and high, and then you can take both in the report, I suppose.
Yeah, but this appeal is surely going to be unsuccessful, isn't it?
You would expect so.
Like, it's... I don't know. Seeing the words appeal this morning did kind of take me by surprise a small bit. This is at the end of the season. He will be banned for the first championship match, I think, next summer, which, okay, so there's a practical level to that, but really, you'd like to think that... So Brian Cody speaking after the game was like, the referee clearly wasn't sure, and he made a decision, you tell me, blah, 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 about whether or not this is actually the right decision or not. So you'd like to think that Brian Cody's actually gone and watched the game back, or watched the challenge back, and most of the people who will be making this appeal have actually gone and watched the replay, then watched the replay again, and then watched the replay again, and see what exactly happens. Like, granted, these people are blinded by the fact that they know Richie Hogan and they know he's a good man and that he's not in his character, and it's an All-Ireland final day and it's tough luck and all that. But really, that's it. It's tough. Like, the arm was raised, there was a connection with the head. By the letter of the law, there is no way this should be overturned.
Yeah, now, there was a bit of back and forth. Was it Willie Barrett, the referee's chief, was saying that there was no specific directive handed down as the season went on beyond what was handed out at the start of the season, and yet James Owens obviously did referee the game that Bill Cooper took Richie Hogan out in, and it's like, that one wasn't a red card. Maybe James Owens was tapped on the shoulder in the one-on-one afterwards that the referees have and said that should have been a red card, and that's in his mind. I don't know.
There's every chance that that's the case. What I would say is that those moments that people are questioning this week are moments that people probably should have been sent off. The moments where there was connection to the head, like that is the law that referees have been handed down at the start of the year. Maybe there was moments where, come quarterfinals, semi-finals, they're told to be a little bit more lenient, because that is where the sort of poetic nature of the GAA comes into it, that you don't want a fella missing an All-Ireland final. But once you get to the All-Ireland final, you're going to be refereed like it's a league game down in Thurles in the middle of February. And that's how it seems to me. So, like, you want greater consistency, and I completely accept the inconsistent argument that Kilkenny fans are making this week. But ultimately, if you're looking at this in isolation, it's a red card.
Yeah, and the other one should have been red cards too. Maybe that wouldn't have happened. Behaviour would have changed. I don't know. Look, split second, lashings of rain, All-Ireland final, blood's up. Who knows what impulse takes over. The back page of The Guardian this morning. England's big chance route will go up a level to exploit Smith's absence. The third test in the Ashes gets underway. Ben Teo has joined Toulon on a short-term deal, so he signed from now until November for Toulon, which rules him out of any possible late call-up to the World Cup. He probably knew he wasn't getting called up to the World Cup anyway. Obviously, he's not in the squad after the row with Mike Brown, so that was that.
Yeah, he didn't...
What a weird international career Ben Teo's had ever since he was pictured in that Ireland jersey.
The curse of the Ireland jersey. Like, he does not only need an injury to have got into that squad, he would need a very specific injury, which is namely Mike Brown to get injured for the entire tournament. So that would probably be the only door that would be open for him, and then he'd also need a midfielder perhaps to go as well. Back page of the Times says Archer can swing it for us, says Root. It's Ash's stories. Twitter U-turn on the View Stars. Jerry's already mentioned that, surrounding Paul Pogba, and just mentioned there Teo's England career to end.
So the Irish Independent, curbing Fenton's influence must be a priority for... Sorry, Times, yeah. Curbing Fenton's influence must be a priority for Kerry. This is the piece where they're kind of charting the success of Fenton, and Kerry have a secret weapon here, though. Jack Barry is his match. He's his kryptonite, right?
Yeah, we mentioned that to Anthony Moyles actually last Monday week after the All-Ireland semi-finals, that this is something that people have been talking about. The problem is Jack Barry isn't in the starting team for Kerry at the moment. So do you like, is every decision you make in relation to the opposition? I think on this specific case it can be, because if there is still a position up for grabs, it is the midfielder beside David Moran. And Jack Barry, I would say, would be in Peter Keane's thoughts initially. I think Adrian's plans open up a bit of a gap between them now, and if it was against any other team in the country, this wouldn't even be a decision. Adrian's plan would be starting alongside David Moran. But it's Brian Fenton, and Jack Barry just seems to have this thing where he's able to mark Brian Fenton so well. The problem I would have with this...
Is it always?
Yes.
How well is it? Like, is it?
But he's kept him to 1 point over 4 meetings.
But so... Maybe Fenton had a different role in those days.
Not really, no. I can vividly remember the analysis after the 2017 league final, the 2017 regulation game. Both of those games, it was like, this is amazing.
2 league matches.
Yeah, but this is the problem. This is all judged in league.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't seen him go up against Brian Fenton in championship ever, as far as I'm aware. It wasn't around in 2016. 2017 was Barry's first year.
Yeah, look, I mean, I would be very worried if they do this, that Jack Barry gets torched by Brian Fenton, who suddenly you're inspiring to new levels of greatness by going, hang on a second, what? You're my kryptonite. Hang on a second here. I'm like, I should be in the conversation a bit more for Footballer of the Year, given the performances that I've had. I mean, I know I'm already the reigning Footballer of the Year, but like, I'm the best footballer in the country by a mile. I'm the dominant footballer of my generation.
What I would say is
I'm not saying he's saying that, but like, he's certainly thinking it.
No, but what I would say is that, what else do you do? I mean, like, you could easily turn to Adrian Spillane or David Moore and be like, I'm going to do this anyway. He's going to have that idea of himself regardless, I'd imagine. Like, he's the guy playing with unbelievable confidence at the moment.
Yeah, I just you're poking the bear a little bit, I think, by sticking Jack Barry on him. We'll see. I wouldn't do it. Would you do it? Are you happy when Jack Barry's in the parade?
Yes.
You are?
Yeah, if I had to pick a side of the fence, yes. I would be.
Okay. New dad Stander, living the dreams. This is TJ Stander, who has become a new father recently. And he's talking about how it's always been his dream to play in a World Cup. And Jerry Thornley has... This is an interesting few lines here from Jerry Thornley's piece in Quintalago in Portugal. Ross Byrne's expected to be named for his full test debut against England on Saturday with Jack Carty on the bench. So obviously a complete neophyte pairing of 10s starting and on the bench. Joe Schmidt will announce the Irish team in replacement for the Twickenham warm-up game from the squad's base in the Algarve today. So obviously good sources have already kind of got a heads up on what the team is going to be. The Irish head coach has been obliged to fast-track the development of both Byrne and Carty in light of the ankle injury, which has placed a doubt over Joey Carbery's place in the World Cup squad. The language around Joey Carbery has changed a good bit in the last 24, 48 hours from, he'll be grand, he'll be back in the middle, he'll be ready for the Scotland game, to he's now a significant doubt for a place in the squad. Maybe that language has changed to give both of the vying 10s a real sense that something is up for grabs here. Like, a big role in Ireland's World Cup is up for grabs if you step forward. So maybe it's a challenge to the two lads over the last 10 days of squad to try and separate one from the other, so it's a clear winner and they've no choice but to select Ross Byrne or Jack Carty, because if he's not going, they're probably going to bring both. But the notion that he's been obliged to fast-track their development because of this recent injury, I don't buy that at all. Like, we knew that Johnny Sexton has frequently had injury issues over the last 4 years. So we knew that there was going to be no Paddy Jackson in this squad. We knew that Ian Madigan wasn't going to be available, which means that you're left with just Joey Carbery as somebody who's played any significant international rugby, and not even that much international rugby. So he's had a long time to build a squad and hasn't built the squad. What the hell have they been doing for the last 4 years? That now we have these two who've got very few caps between them.
Like, you would immediately go back to Australia last summer. I know you mentioned this yesterday, but I think you were actually making the point before that tour that do you not just give Sexton the summer off, because it's two-pronged approach to that. First of all, Sexton comes back a bit more refreshed going into a vital season, and second of all, you get somebody pitch time, and whoever that may be in the second test or whatever, it could have been, like, it would have been probably Carthy or would have been Ross Byrne at that moment. They would have lost the series.
Maybe not.
But they would have gained something in the long term.
Maybe they wouldn't have lost the series.
Given the very fine margins they might have done, but like, it doesn't matter. That's a hypothetical. But I think the positive. Exactly, I was about to say.
After this World Cup, was everybody going to go, oh, you got knocked out in the group stages because you know out half, or you got beaten in the quarterfinal because you know out half, but you beat those Australians in that. Remember that? Remember the Australian team who reached the semi-finals here? You guys beat them in Test series down under. Well done. It was great. Congratulations. Is that the thing that we're going to look back on? It isn't.
No, not a chance. I think when you look at the positives and the negatives there, it's far outweighed in terms of actually just saying to yourself, let's plan for the scenario that Johnny Sexton gets injured and misses the entire World Cup, who do you want to be our substitute out half if Joey Carbery is our starter? But I'm sure that is a question that they've asked. Like, they've surely pondered every single injury scenario.
Then why have these two not got more caps? Why is Ross Byrne making his debut at the weekend?
Who knows? Maybe the Irish management team actually thought to themselves, winning is more important than building squad depth, where you only need one. You need two great players in every position, and they had achieved that at out half. Maybe after they had established Joey Carbery, they saw the drop off in standard and thought to themselves, fingers crossed, there's no way we can create squad depth here in a manner that will allow Ireland to be a squad that can go all the way in the World Cup.
Maybe Sam Monson has a pinned tweet. He works for PFF. He's a regular on our NFL show, and his pinned tweet is John Gruden asking Tom Moore. They're talking about Peyton Manning, and they're at training one day, and Gruden's looking around. Gruden turns around and goes to Tom Moore, "Why do Peyton Manning's backups not get more reps, opportunities?" And Moore goes, "Fellas, if 18 goes down, we're fucked, and we don't practice fucked." And it's like, maybe if Johnny Sexton and Joey Carbery go down, that's it. We've got no hope.
It seems that way.
That's the and so there's no point in giving the lads games but that doesn't make any sense, because it's your third and fourth choice players who are going to be playing in a semi-final and final, just by virtue of the injury profile of teams who win the World Cup, with that exception of the last time when Dan Carter played brilliantly in the final in 2015.
We need to send one of them off fishing like Beaver Donalds a few years ago. Bring him back into the squad for a World Cup quarter-final. Finally for me, it's the Racing Post. The last hurrah. Let's give Arc-bound Wondermare Enable a rousing send-off as she heads into battle for a final time on home soil. And back page is England closing in. Smith absence leaves punters united behind hosts in Leeds.